We talk business, and Rotus is here. Rotus, what's going on? I'm hearing something about the
so much
Wonga, 2x or something.
Oh yeah. We need to minimum wage
Pay
needs to be 2x, 3x across the country. It's hard. Right? But good morning, everybody.
Labour Party said it's got to be 200 million.
But you need money to do it.
Yeah.
You need money to do it. The money has to come from somewhere. What to watch today? The Mr. James Cleverly visiting China is going to be talking a lot about geopolitical concerns. By the way, I think it's is it Evergrande or Country Garden that's asking for bond payments reprieve from investors. So China is just in trouble. 1 p.m. we're going to be getting Mexico GDP. I think we're expecting 4.6%. But they're so closely tied to the United States. Any fall in consumer buying might actually affect Mexico. Then we get U.S. consumer confidence. You can link that to Mexico GDP, but because if the consumers confidence falls, then that is an indication that there may be less purchases, and 60-70% of the US economy is the consumer. And then when I was in the States, I used to go to Best Buy all the time to buy CDs and my electronics. They are a hedge, or rather an indicator of what's going on in the economy, along with Walmart and all these other retailers. So we'll see how that goes when they release their results before the bell, just to get a gauge of how well the US consumer is faring. Come to Nigeria. Bloomberg has an article out on railway, the Abuja light rail. It says Nigeria's train to nowhere, shows how not to build public transits. And there's been some challenges. If you take a look at the light rail challenges, this was envisioned quite a while back, 27-kilometer line. I think they wanted to add another 18 kilometers to this, but that's still out there. $823 million costs, financed by the Export-Import Bank of China. Nigeria apparently is paying about $50 million annually to service the debt on this project. Ribbon cutting, remember that in 2018, President Buhari. It was closed down 2020. And this is one of the main things here. The estimates was for about 34,000 passengers, to fro, but you've only got about 1,000. So you look at some quotes from the article. This is infrastructure gentleman, Mr. Roland Atakuba, MD of Bethlehem Rail Infrastructure. He said it's an abandoned project. Quite clearly, there was no plan on how to run the operations before they built it. More quotes from the former governor of Kaduna. He said, the current situation is a mystery for the next minister to unravel. Pick your minister, transport, works, FCT. Mohammed Lawal Shaibu is an urban planner and designer with Envicons. He says it has been very terribly executed. The line basically avoided where people are, where people live, where people go. It starts from the airport. It's supposed to cut off at the central business district. Then there was a report that was done for the Japanese Development Corporation. They said the system failed because it was neither a high occupancy nor a high frequency service. And then you go back to the estimates of 34,000 passengers and then pretty much only getting about 1,000. And then Tsunami Plyman, he's a data transit energy analyst, saying politicians just want to ribbon cut and don't care what kind of utility the infrastructure will provide. So that's that challenge there. I think we move now to aviation. David Hundein, I can't even repeat these tweets that David put out because it's so incredibly alarming. But his West Africa publications put out yet more issues with respect to Max Air. So there's a timeline. And he essentially was saying, okay, so back in May 7th, there was tires that exploded on the tarmac for Max Air. July 7th, there was water in the Boeing 737 fuel tank. There was an aborted takeoff in Kano. I didn't even include this. There was an aborted landing that was emergency landing in Abuja, I think on the 11th or so, or 12th. Then the regulator came in, the Civil Aviation Authority. They suspended the flights June 12th, but then they were resumed on July the 30th. They now put out an audit, released an audit, well, at least the first page of it, that an audit had been taking place. So what David's article is saying is that he identified 48 breaches in the audit. And if you read this article, he goes line by line by line by line for all 48 items, questioning whether or not they could have cleared this within the two weeks period that they were allowed to fly. So, I've reached out. I reached out to NCA. I've sent them a couple of messages, and I actually, we'll have to talk for some more to them about. Listen, the regulator has spoken. The entity has been cleared. They can fly again. But was that audit thorough? Which is what he's questioning. And the GDP figures we just put up now. If you look at air transport at the bottom of the screen, it was 22.45% output in second quarter of last year. slowed to 19.45%, and then a rather dramatic fall to 4.37. So the output is not there. The last thing we need is safety issues to further reduce the frequency of flights. We want more players in the sector, although it's very capital intensive. You all three had that interview, we're on the aviation sector and what the minister is looking for. So, the last thing we need is people being worried, scared about whether or not they're safe to fly. So there's it'd be nice if the regulator puts touches on that. And then, of course, you've already touched on the Federal Executive Council meeting and all the outcomes. Wale Edu, now the third person, or is it fourth, now talking about how the bad economy that they met, which, Mr. K was already talking about for political reasons. President Tinubu won't come out to say it explicitly. But it's important to admit this. As per capita has fallen steadily, inflation is at 24%, unemployment is high. They're rebasing the way which is calculated. Either way, it's high, and youth unemployment is even unacceptably high. These are the key metrics that we've met. And then look at solutions. I was talking about we need to have solutions. So he says you can't borrow. So what do? It's either debt or equity, right? Clearly, federal government not in a position to borrow at this time. Rather, the emphasis has to be on creating a stable macroeconomic environment. What does that mean? It's money. Everything boils down to money. That's it. So the aim is reforms to attract investors within Nigeria. Hello, invest in your stock market, my fellow Nigerians, and bonds. Foreign direct investors, even portfolio investors that want to invest in the financial aspects of the Nigerian economy, just as the stock market and bonds. And then I think finally we've got, Rufa, your source. You're talking about your source on employment. Your source is Yemi Kale. He was on Global Business Report yesterday, and he said what you said. Let's take a listen.
Cool. When I started, it was 40 hours. MBS was computing unemployment as a definition. The definition was if you're not in full-time employment,
right,
you're unemployed. And the reason was Nigerian policymakers were promising Nigerians full-time employment.
Right.
So they want to know whether they are performing in terms of providing full-time or not 1 hour employment. Now, if you want the policy and the data to match, policymakers either have to now come out and say, all we are guaranteeing Nigerians is 1 hour. Then the methodology works.
Right.
When the methodology is focused on 1 hour, and policymakers are trying to look for full-time employment, you're not really helping them.
Gotcha.
And at the end of the day, the data is just there for the textbooks and for researchers and for international comparison, anything like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, policymakers can't use it. And I repeat, the most important use of data is to provide information for policymakers, not for international comparison. International comparison is good, but that cannot be the main. You have to ensure that your policies and your data that you're using to
marry.
Yeah, you're not producing data for the sake of it.
Right.
Data is for the use. If the data user cannot use the data because it doesn't speak to what they want, then it's just a waste of time. So this is why I resisted for 10 years. Because it did not make any sense in terms of providing the information that policymakers need. So that 20 hours was set because the committee that was set up, which included the ILO, by the way.
Okay.
So there are 30 of them.
Hey, as far as I'm concerned, if you're not working 40 hours, okay, let me leave it at that.
No,
but anyway.
Rotus, you ratted
so
me.
that's your source, eh?
I mean,
that's your source.
That's my source.
He said it on public TV.
He said it on public TV. But you know why I said it's a source and I kept it? And Rotus, because probably when you were doing the show and interview, I was driving back home.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it, but it was a private convo I had just before I stepped in the studio.
Yeah.
And I can't take private conversations. I'll put them in public spaces.
I got you.
My journalistic training didn't teach me that way.
I got you.
But you ratted me out. But so let me not talk about it today. He said it all. I told you, boo. What are we saying? He said it all. He said they pushed him for 10 years.
And he resisted.
And now they finally pushed the person in charge now just for 2 months, and he accepted
Straight away.
Yes. And all of a sudden the unemployment number came up from 3% to 4.1. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Rotus, you brought a very, very, very delicate story about that airline thing.
Yeah, look, we want to hear from the regulator.
And it's good you're trying to challenge. I support Rotus on this. NCA, please, you guys need to come on this table and talk to Rotus. All right? You need to come and talk about this because we can't afford to have what we used to have in the airline sector before. It's not done. It's not done. And we're having a very coherent report like this. And, as Rotus reached out, I expect you guys to come and talk and defend yourself. Pure and simple. Another story making the round, as regards this first thing they had come out to say and all of that. Anyway, we had all said it before, that we know the state of the economy. But Rotus, I feel, to a large extent, that what the Minister of Finance said is still very nebulous. You say macroeconomic condition. What is that?
No, it was specific now. He said
employment, bonds,
investing. Oh, you mean the solutions?
Yeah, the solutions.
No, it's money. He says we need to bring investment.
Where's the money going to come from?
So he wants Nigerians to invest first. You guys, are you all? How many stocks do you guys have?
Yeah, I have a couple of stocks.
He wants Nigerians to invest. Nigerians invest in your country.
Confidence to invest.
Which confidence? The stock market is at 30% year to date now.
But I've constantly always done money markets.
Good.
All right.
Oh, yeah, do stocks.
Dollarized money markets.
Bonds.
I've got stocks in couple of. Yeah, so I mean, we hold positions in Nigeria. We believe so much in Nigeria. But the question is, the real people that will bring in the cash.
The
dollars. What confidence have we given them?
Well, I don't want to bring up this debate again, but when you end fuel subsidies, you encourage foreign investors to say, look, the spending you're doing on subsidies have gone. So they'll say Nigeria is serious about her finances.
So the foreign investors too that want to come, when we, going back to our debate, when we decided to unify the Naira, why is the CBN still holding rates? Because if you want those people to come, so we too, we need to come out. Why is it that when dollar came into the market, an oil company wanted to sell
to the bank,
the CBN said, bring the money to us. Yeah. So we are not being sincere. We are saying one thing, we are saying another thing. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, what you do speaks so loud, I can't hear what you say. And that's the problem with Nigerian economic administrators. What we are doing is speaking so loud, the foreign investors and portfolio investors can't hear what we say.
Got you.
All right, so let me take you up on that challenge.
Yes.
You're
an investor.
Investing
in Nigeria.
Rotus, let me not give you your own the taste of your own medicine.
Oh yeah, give me. I'm invested.
There was a time where you were pushing more because of the volatility.
Of course,
you pushed more for
FX. Yes.
So now, what are you saying? Are you saying we should come back home?
See, when the advice I give to people for personal finance and finance 101 is a diversified portfolio. Okay. So you want to make sure that you don't have all your eggs in one basket. So you have Naira securities, you have dollar securities to protect your purchasing power because the Naira is weak. Well, I can't tell everybody to put 100% go into Naira securities, but you must be invested in Nigeria because there are stocks that have, between capital appreciation and dividend yield, not to get into the technical weeds, but those two things combined for a number of stocks have done pretty well.
Okay, let me come to for low risk takers, money markets, for instance. Yeah. If you invested in money market, say earlier this year, you are poorer.
Not that you are poor. So the thing is, the issue is that if you are benchmarking,
let me just break it down, just not to make people assume that, because the value of the Naira from earlier this year has devalued. Fine. So if you put Naira in the money market, you are poorer.
Okay, so what's the alternative? So tell me. What the alternative is? What, do you want to put the money under your mattress?
No, that's the argument for FX, for people investing more.
Right. So it's a pie. You put some money in money markets, you put some money in stocks, you put some money in cash because you have daily needs that you need to meet. You put some money in foreign exchange. There are Nigerian brokers that offer FX securities overseas for you to invest and you earn your interest in FX. So diversify. You cannot put all your money in FX. You cannot put all your money in the Nigerian stock market and bond market. Spread it out so that way you are balanced.
Excellent. Thank you. I just want to make a case. I agree with you because we have to fix our economy. We have to bring in income. So please invest in your country.
Invest in green, white, green.
Yeah, very true. And some of us will choose to not go to the money market. We'll rather go to farms. But
that's another investment. Farming. It's another. It's an investment. Yeah.
So, but before you go, very quickly, before you go, I just want to, in 30 seconds, just want to mention Nigeria Electricity Register, what's NERC? NERC, they received a petition from NSC. Engineers were complaining that the tariff of electricity should not go up. And the point they were making, was that, okay, well, the point they were making was that the discos claim that 30% inflation is what their own advisors and independent researchers are saying we have. I saw that the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister for the Economy is saying it's 24%.
Right.
So I think they're probably right.
We'll get into that tomorrow. We'll start on that tomorrow. Fine. We'll do it tomorrow.
Rotus. It's always a great time with you. See Rotus at 11 a.m. for Global Business Report. And again, of course, back tomorrow morning on the morning show.